Whoa. This is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Tonight's Wednesday night. Anyone can farm question and answer. And I hope people aren't on the other one that I set up. I set it up, but then it disappeared off of my feed. So I had to make a new one real quick. The other one had a picture of a poodle on it. That's my son's dog that we're taking care of. All right, so Wednesday night is traditionally, it has been where we started with this whole thing, just making ourselves available to talk about homestead things, small farms things, and just plain living type things. Maybe raising children on a farm, farm finances, just question and answer. Jill and I have been doing this for a long time. This is going to be our 16th, or this is our 16th year on this farm. And then our farm in Montana, we were there for about 7 years. So, we've been at it long enough to have wrung it out. I farm here full time. We were commercial people for a while, commercial farmers, and I've told a story about how we got our start doing that. I was military before that for 20 years in U.S. Air Force, and this is something that we wanted to do. And the lifestyle is just about what we want. So we're settled. We're not going anyplace. And so we started this because I was fielding a whole lot of phone calls. Okay. Let me just finish here. You start sending in the questions, and Jill's not here right now. She had to take a couple little fellers that were playing with my kids home, and so she should be wheeling in here anytime, and she'll get on the laptop, and if she doesn't, I'll swing it around. But anyway, I wanted to just tell a little bit about what we're doing and kind of what our plans are. So maybe it's something that will fit into something that you're doing, and maybe we can move together, move along down the road together. Okay, so it would have been about 10 years ago that we hosted an event here called Pig Stock. And that event originated in Seattle, Washington. And the origin of that was there was some people that came over from Austria. Their name is Wiesner, Christoph and Isabel Wiesner, husband and wife. And they raised Mangalitsa pigs. And they came to the United States. Someone brought them over. A guy by the name of Heath Putnam, he brought him here to introduce the pig to the United States. And this pig is different than the pigs that we're used to here. It's a heritage breed pig. If you haven't seen it, it's all over my website, bakersgreenacres.com. They're hairy, they're kind of look like a pumpkin seed. They're a lard pig, so they get really fat. And they're red meated, which is a little different. The meat that you get from the store is the other white meat, right? So I went to that original gathering and watched 2 pigs being processed, and then I got to get my hands in it. I was the only farmer there. I was the only one that had any butchering experience. The rest of them were businessmen and chefs. And chefs typically don't do a lot of butchering. There wasn't any that did on this event. So I got to relate to the Wiesners. They were farmers and butchers, and I was kind of the same. And we got along pretty good. Well, the next year there was another pig stock. The name pig stock was it was kind of a joke, it was like a play on Woodstock, right? And I don't know. Somebody made some certificates and handed them out, and it said pig stock 2010 or something like that. Well, the next year they did one in New Jersey, and Jill and I went to that one. And we were there as like helpers, and so we got to go for nothing, just our hotel, and our driving expenses. And then the year after that, we had it here at Baker's Green Acres, and that was probably the beginning of what it became. All right, when we did it here, there was a company that I was working with. They were selling a lot of my products. I don't even know if they're still in business anymore, to tell you the truth. But they had salesmen on staff, and the salesmen alerted people that they sold to that, hey, we were going to be doing this hog processing at Baker's Green Acres. And so that first year that we did it here, we had 30 people attend. There were, all right, that dog. There were four chefs that went on to be nominated for the James Beard Award, right? So it was a big deal. And 2 of them got it that year. So it was a pretty big deal. These were high-end chefs. And the pig was the latest and greatest in the United States. It got written up in all kinds of newspapers and publications and stuff. And we had them right here at Baker's Green Acres. And I wound up going a different direction than the guys I started with, and kind of going out on my own. And I'm glad I did, because I didn't want to be compartmentalized, kind of like the Air Force was. You did this, and that's all we want you to do. And I didn't want these people that I was working with calling the shots, because they didn't. They weren't going the direction that I was going. I was going more of the direction that I'm going now, more of a homestead direction, where we're individuals, we're rugged, we adapt and overcome. We don't want to limit ourselves to 1 or 2 or 3 processes. We want it wide open. And so I wasn't going to continue with them, and I didn't. So I went out on my own. And so pig stock was never here ever again. It was taken from here the very next year, and it was taken to Traverse City. And the nature of it was changed. And it's because the businessmen saw it differently than we saw it as butchers and farmers. And, that was their prerogative. They had the money to do that, so they did it. But then it went for a couple of years. I don't know, what would you say, 3-4 years? And then it died. It just went away, because they were bringing people to it that were high end. They were charging them a lot of money. I think $1,500 for the 3 days. And it was just entertainment for them. They were never going to actually use it. And so when we had gone through the class, it was more of a how-to, and it's a tool that you could put in your toolbox. It's the animal is a species that was new to us, new to the United States, but had a lot of promise, because you can do so much with it. And so we went the direction that we felt that we wanted to go, and we renamed it. We called it Homestead Hog Harvest. And this will be our 10th year of doing the Homestead Hog Harvest. So what it amounts to is we start out with live pigs on Friday afternoon. We like people to get here about noon, and we like to do our first kill like about 1 o'clock. And generally we do 2, and that accommodates 12 people. And so we're talking 4 halves, 3 people per team. And so 12 people. If we wanted to go 4 people per team, we could do 16, but 12 is about right for the facilities that we have. So I have a little butcher shop here that we work in. So it's worked out really good. And people have made some great gains with the Homestead hog harvest. And so we're going to do it again this year. It's going to be the weekend of November 1st, I believe.
6th through 8th, November 6th through 8th.
Oh, November 6th through 8th.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a news to me. I'm just finding that out just now. I don't know why I didn't know that. November 6th through the 8th. Usually it's on the 1st. It always has been. Why did it change?
Because the 1st happens to fall on Sunday,
Yeah.
and Halloween is the Saturday before, and so I went with the first full week of November, first full weekend.
Okay. All right. It's good to have a team effort here, right? Right. So anyway, 6th through the 8th, and yeah, and so that's coming, and we already have what, 7 people in that class, so it's filling up pretty quick. We're doing a class this coming weekend. It's going to be a Friday, Saturday. It's going to be Friday. I'd like people here at 5 o'clock, and we're going to do the first kill at 6, but it's going to be a lot more down and dirty, a lot quicker, less instruction, a little bit less hands-on because we're only doing 1 pig with 10 people. But the intent here is to just train people up so that they can go home Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, do their first kill. That's the intent. Saturday will go from 9 o'clock in the morning until the pig is complete, until people have had enough of the instruction. If it goes past lunchtime, so be it. I really don't have a problem with that. We'll go as long as we need to. So, all right, Jill is here, and I'm ready to take some questions. I wanted to share something, though, today, what I did. It was a beautiful day here, and I got to harvest the lawn, all right? And as I was doing this, I started thinking about it and thinking, a point of view on something changes everything, all right? I spent most of the day on a lawnmower. You know, the first group of grasses that come in are really thick, and you have to spend a lot of time doing it. We had to move a bunch of stuff, and of course there's stuff all over the lawn from all winter, bones and stuff that the dogs have brought up. So it took me most of the day, and I had other things to do, and mowing lawn is not exactly productive sometimes when I think about it. But I have a machine that I tow behind the mower, and it collects the clippings. So the first couple of mowings are really, really heavy, and those clippings are not refuse. So I consider that machine a harvester instead of a mower. And then I dump it in the garden, and then we have a fork that's designed to look what he's doing. That's designed to pick up silage, and then we spread that down the rows in the walkways for weed suppression, and it's really beneficial. All right, so that's what I did today, and then we give some to the pigs, we give some to chickens, and it's kind of a nice thing. So point of view is everything. Oh, I know why I started talking about hog harvest, because I wanted to let you know that we really haven't talked much about the aspect of breeding Mangalitsa pigs or of raising Mangalitsa pigs from a breeder's point of view. All right? We're going to offer this class tomorrow, and it's really an impromptu deal. I just decided to do it like a week ago. and we've got almost 10 people. I think we have 7 people signed up. Is it 7?
I believe so.
Okay, 7. So I'm pretty sure we'll fill it. We need 3 more slots, and then we are going to do a Zoom call for the entire thing. So if you want to watch the process from your laptop from home, you can register, and Jill will give you a code to get in. And it's a paying deal because we gotta, have somebody do it. And I think it's going to be $39, something like that. Is that right? $39.99 or something
Yeah,
like that.
Something like that.
And then we will take all that raw footage and we'll boil it down and make
Of course.
a course out of it that we'll put on bakersgreenacres.com, and you'll be able to just download it, and then it ensures you can watch it at your leisure. And it's going to be different than the ones that you've seen on YouTube because we're going to have more time, and we're going to have a camera person that's in there and being able to. But what people might want to consider now is, for the same reason we're doing this impromptu class, some people feel, and I'm one of them, that there could be a meat shortage on the horizon. And the reason for that is processing plants are being shut down left and right with the old COVID-19. And so that puts a lot more pressure on local butcher shops. And there's the panic factor, like the toilet paper factor, and people who would just normally just process a couple of pigs want to get them all in. It's just so they are sure that they've got their slot. So the processors are backed up big time. So what does that mean for the person like me if I can't get animals in to a processor? Well, I have my own butcher shop, so I can take care of it here. And yeah, I could be butchering for other people, but that's not going to alleviate the problem for lots and lots of people. But if we train 10 people this coming Friday, and half of them go home and do it and become the person in their neighborhood that does it, that's a good thing. That's an impact right there. That makes a difference right there. If 10 of them do it, that makes a huge difference, all right? Because that person or that team, we've got, I think, 3 husband and wife teams coming. They will be it in their little food circle. And they can have a huge impact. So with that said, and thinking that way, if you wanted to raise pigs, which everybody seems to want to raise pigs now, and beef cows are a premium right now, animals, consider jumping in with both feet and getting breeding stock. It's not that difficult. And I think what we'll do is we'll spend some time right here on this channel going deeper into, okay, you've got a male and a female. Now what do you do? And we can talk about that because it's there's things, there's things that you need to know. And just so happens, I happen to have 12, 11. I have 11 breedable animals available. One of them I've traded off. So if you're looking for something like that, I guess I'm going to put them up on the tribe, and it's going to say to rehome. They're not free by any means, but breedable animals are far more sustainable than if you got 2 castrated males and fed them out and then butchered them. If you have breedable animals, that sow can give you up to, she can give you up to 20 pigs a year, 20 piglets. And the piglets, just a feeder, and a feeder is a neutered animal. Right now, $150 is probably bottom line that people are going to sell them for. Breedable animals, we sell them for 500. So that's kind of where it's at, and it's something to consider. And this is going out to the people on this tribe, so it's sort of a family deal, and I'd like to keep it that way. And with that said, somebody on the tribe, what was her name on the tribe? No, that we're doing that swap with.
Connolly? I forget her first name.
Oh, that's
I
bad.
remember.
That's bad. I'm sorry. Kelly? No. Well,
It
anyway,
begins with a K, and I think her last name is Connolly.
yeah. She had some pigs that she wanted to trade just to get some different blood in her herd. And I like to do that too. That makes a lot of sense. So we're going to trade straight across. And then she wants to come to the hog harvest. And I said, well, if you bring them, then I'll give you credit towards the hog harvest class. And so she's going to come. She's going to come from Ohio and bring them up. Her and her husband are going to come. And I even said, we'll feed you lunch. So that's kind of a useful tool. The tribe is a useful tool in that regard. So before you go outside of the tribe to procure things, try the tribe first. Try it. It works. I've actually done trades on 2 pigs in the tribe. So, very nice. Okay. I'm ready to answer some questions. I got Jill by my side here. I've had a lot of sun today.
Ooh, you got some soup.
And I've gotten some soup, yeah. It's a little chilly in here, isn't it? We don't have a fire going. This is one of the first nights we haven't had a fire going in a long time.
Yeah.
I thought of something. We had a pretty good group last night for pastured poultry, and there was one thing that I completely forgot about, and as soon as the class was over, I wrote it down up here, and I will point to it. It is scale. See where it says scale? I've been telling you that a 10 by 12 is the way to go. You can scale that if you want. All right, so red male I castrated a few months ago.
Too bad you castrated.
Too bad you castrated it. Too bad. I'd like to get my hands on a red. What is the tribe? Holland Hillbilly, you don't know what the tribe is? We like to say around here, there's no such thing as a dumb question. The tribe is a Facebook page, and it's called the Anyone Can Farm Tribe. And it's one of those ones you got to go there and request to get in. And the reason for that is if we put up stuff that's not friendly to advertisers, then Facebook won't throw us in the river. So you go there and you request to get in. We'll let you in. I think we're almost going to break 800 people in there. So that's good. I mean, the idea is not to just have 1 million people in there. It's kind of a group of people that plan on doing something or are doing something, But the key word there is do. These are doers, right? So if you get over there, we'll just let you right in, and that'll be good. But then if you, jump all over us for showing blood or something like that, then we'll just kick you out. That's the way it is. It's kind of a free speech zone. There was people that got upset about, a member joking around about the COVID-19, calling it the China virus, and said it was racist, and I don't know. I didn't see it that way. It was just a kind of a joke. But we do limit it to farm-related issues, okay? So if people post stuff up there that is not farm-related, it may stay there for a day, but then it's going to go away. And that's up to Jill and Lorna to do. They kind of make the decision.
Well, as
All right.
long as it's
As long as it's farm related.
related.
Farm related.
Yep.
And it could be pro or con. It you know, because we like to hear both sides of things. And people can make up their own mind about it. And I don't like to. I don't like to censor what people want to say. I mean, you got free speech, and that's the whole. One of the things that we preach here, we talk about a lot, is our right to farm under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Well, the other amendment that's in the Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, is the First Amendment, and that is freedom of speech. So any of this, people say that we can't say certain things because it's hate speech or whatever. Well, you know, that's somebody's idea, right? That it's hurtful or hateful or anything like that. And yeah, I generally people are pretty adult about things and don't go off the deep end there. And people have been nice to each other. I mean, the whole idea really is it's sort of like a support group. If you know how to do something and you can help somebody else out, or if you did something, you built something and you want to show it off, take some pictures, post it. You know, it's great. Because then other people see it and say, hey, I'm going to do that. So that's the type of thing that I like to see. I like to see people helping other people out. So there you go. That's what the tribe is. And I know it's a little bit Native American, the tribe thing, but it wasn't intended to be. You know, I think other people have tribes too. I think Scottish people have tribes. Are there any questions for me?
There.
Okay.
are.
Okay, we got questions. Let them roll.
Thumbs ups.
Yeah, and could you please give me a thumbs up here? There's 24 people watching and only 8 thumbs up. The other thing I asked you guys to do the other night, and a lot of people did it, the analytics show that 46% of the people that watch this are not subscribers to the channel. And it just takes a second to hit the subscribe button there. And then you get notified when we're going to do you hit the little bell and you'll get notified when we're going to do a video. And I do videos pretty often, just about the stuff that's going on around here. But the point is, we want to go over 10,000, puts us in a completely different category. And what I think would be nice is if we had a really big footprint. And right now we're sharing fun stuff, but there could come a time when we have to share something that's not quite so fun, that we all need to come together on, and we all need to make a phone call, or we all need to write a letter, or we all need to go down to the Capitol and shave our heads or something like that. You know, could be something like that. There has been problems with local and state government when it comes to small farms. It's like a rash, and the cure to that is the Constitution of the United States. This is a process that's protected under the U.S. Constitution. So we talk about that a lot. So I'm ready to go with questions, Mom.
All right, Cody. Suggestions for grain mix for pigs. He's thinking going 50 pounds corn, 10 pounds wheat, 2 pounds oats soaked as a mix. His concern is, will they receive enough protein, minerals, and lysine? He wants to get away from soy. Thoughts? He's got a Duroc spot cross.
Well, that sounds like it'd work. The reason why we don't use much corn in Mangalitsa is because it colors the fat. And corn is really cheap, you know. It's really cheap carbohydrates. And I don't mean dollar-wise. That's true, it is cheap. But it's just not a high-quality carbohydrate. It has a certain smell to it, and for one, I for one don't really like it. You know, if you get a bag of GMO standard shell corn, it just has a smell to it that I just don't like. But it will definitely fatten a pig. You might want to be concerned with genetically modified stuff for one reason is it is genetically modified so that it can be sprayed down with glyphosate and it won't kill it. But the glyphosate will kill everything else. It's a method of weeding is what it is. So that's why they genetically modify it. It's not that it's genetically modified that is a health concern. It's that it's sprayed with glyphosate, and that is a health concern. But yeah, I think that would work fine. There are mineral packs that you can get, or you could buy a bag of mineral, and you'd have to, read up on it to see what minerals are in there. And if you think that you're going to be shy of, what was he thinking he was going to be short of? Lysine?
Yeah, that's commonly added in the hog feeds.
Then you could add lysine. I don't do it. When you're raising your pigs on pasture, you're ministering to your pasture as well as your pigs, and both of them get better with time, and your quality pasture will have a lot of the mineral in it that you need, or should have all the mineral that you need. Your plants are going to draw that up from deep in the soil, and then we do a lot of composting. We also, for feeding my Mangalitsa's, we have a chicken processing business here. So we process lots and lots of chickens, our own and other people's. And heads, feet, and guts goes to the pigs. And it might sound a little gross, but if you were to look at what's in hog chow, there's a component in there that's called raw protein. And raw protein can be anything from, you name it, maggots to poodles, anything in between. It could be anything that's protein based. And, I don't like hog chow at all. I bring it up a lot about how much that I don't like it, because you bring a lot of stuff on your farm that you really don't need, that you won't bring on if you're just using whole grains. Of course, the guy at the mill, he'll tell you, oh, if you don't feed hog chow, your pigs, they just won't grow. Well, that's not true. I mean, hog chow is designed to really push a pig along, but that's not what we're doing here. We're not trying to get a pig as big as possible, as quick as possible. We're trying to raise quality meat and do it with integrity, right? Husbandry and things like that. So I am not going to feed anything to my pigs that I don't want eventually my kids to eat. Now, feeding them chicken guts, you may think, whoa, that's gross. But a pig is an omnivore, so if it gets a hold of a chicken, it's going to eat everything: feathers, feet, head, guts, everything. And that's just the way it is. We kind of think of it as, eating all that stuff that humans don't eat, but in other parts of the world, humans do eat that stuff. For sure they do. They don't throw anything on the waste pile. Okay.
So a bunch related to that. Joe asked, would a 50-50 wheat, barley plus forage work plus chicken waste better than corn? And so then Cody, the whole grain mix is still way healthier than hog chow, correct? Or is there something better that you would suggest?
No, I would go with the whole grain mix, and I would put something green in there too, like hay. And we've talked about hay feeding to pigs quite a bit. Usually, first cutting hay goes to horses and cows. Second cutting will go to cows, not horses. Third cutting is too hot, and that can go to your pigs. So if you get somebody that's doing a third cutting, and that's not everywhere, but generally third, fourth cutting can be way, way too hot for cows. Definitely too hot for horses. So, but it can go to pigs, no problem. I hope that helps. One of the things about pigs is when you get into the heritage breeds, it becomes more and more forgiving because they are less picky. The pigs that you would get in CAFOs, like the white pigs or standard farm pigs that you see all over the place, they're pretty picky. They're not going to go out there and eat grass and stuff like that. They're waiting for that hog chow. They're waiting for that corn. They get kind of addicted to it. I bought some pigs from a guy recently, and he brought them. They were little, and as soon as the pickup backed up to where we were going to unload them, phew, stink, terrible. And I said, "You gave these guys hog chow, didn't you?" And he knows that I'm not a big hog chow guy. He says, "Yeah, I gave him a little this morning, just to get him to go in the crate." Smell is horrible. If you don't feed hog chow, pigs don't have that awful smell. They just don't.
All right. And still related from Joe. If you didn't have any scrounge, what would you recommend?
Well, when I didn't have scrounge, I was buying whole grains, and I bought oats because around here barley was not to be found. But oats, there's a lot of oats that's growing around here. So I could get it cheap. I could get it by the truckload. And you can do a lot of things with that. You can do oats and hay. You can do oats and forage. You can do forage and then augment it with oats. Yeah, there's lots of different options. I think people get a little too retentive about the protein level. If you think about your own diet, there is an optimum that you could put in yourself, if let's say you're a professional athlete. But if you don't, are you still going to function? Yeah. And we really don't. I got a Subway today. Is that got, the correct protein amount? Who knows? I didn't really get a Subway, but. So I think people get a little retentive about that. They get a little too into it. The heritage breeds are very forgiving when it comes to feeding. And I've told this story before. We had some tough times several years back, and we were having a hard time finding things to feed our pigs, and we fed them all kinds of stuff. Fed them straw. Believe it or not, they eat it. Believe it or not, they eat it, and they like it. Tree branches, the bark on tree branches in the wintertime, they ate it. Pine boughs, they ate it. Fed them a lot of stuff. And that's the beauty of a pig for a farmstead animal is whatever you can't really utilize, they can. And there's not much that they don't eat, honestly. Not much.
All right. Brittany wondered, have you ever seen a pig do dumb things and look depressed after getting rid of another pig? She had a boar and sent his sister to the processor, and they were good buddies, played together and everything. And even though he's with other pigs, he's just been kind of laying around and looks like he's
Yeah.
got his lower jaw sucked in. He's all sad.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that's par for the course, but it happens. We just sold a pig to a gal, and her sister is still here. The sister's fine because she's in with the people that were in that cage anyway. But the sister went someplace where there was no other pigs, and she was very depressed for a while. You know, I don't think they're emotionless. I really don't. I mean, they definitely show happiness, and they show fear, and they show mistrust. So, depression, yeah, I think they do. It's funny though, like when you have to take one out of the pen, and let's say you're going to process it, so you shoot it in the pen, they don't really seem to notice that. I mean, usually when we're going to do that, we'll go over and we'll throw some bread into the pen, and they're all over there, and they're looking at me, so it presents a good target to shoot at. And if we shoot one, the rest of them, they don't even seem to notice it. I don't know. Maybe because there's food involved.
All right.
Got a bunch of questions?
I have to keep us till 9 anyway.
All right.
Tiffany wanted to know, this was a good one. How well do hogs do on wetlands? We have swamp areas that touch dry ground. Some of the swampy wet areas go deep.
Yeah. We have that too. We have wetlands too. And it's surprising how well they do with that and what they can find in there to eat. It's really surprising. They find a lot of roots and stuff, and they do tremendous clearing. They're real good clearers. I have a field, it's about a 6-acre field, and it was really too wet to get on, except for just a corner of it. But if you went too far, or you could have made a swipe through there if you're cutting hay the year before, but then this year you go right in your tire tracks, but you've gone too far, and you can sink, you can lose equipment in there. So it was a field that I really didn't want to deal with very much, and so we fenced it in, put a hot wire on the inside of it. It's about 6 acres, and a lot of it was too wet to even walk in. It would suck your boots off. And we turned the pigs in there. And because it was so wet and it was so unforgiving as far as equipment and personnel goes, it was just a tangle. I mean, there was bulrushes in there. There was cattails. There was briars. I mean, it was really a mess, really a mess. Nobody had done anything with it. That's the infamous field that I got stuck on, and my neighbor was pulling me out, and he said to me, I got stuck in here back in '57. And the old guy said to me, you damn fool, I don't even go in here with my mules. So that was the old guy that used to own this place. That was way back. So we put the pigs in there, and now they've established, you can see there's 2 springs that come out, and now they run right down into the pond, where before they just kind of ran out and then seeped out. And that's what made the area so wet. But the pigs cleared everything out, and they've established where those springs are going to run. And so it's given us, hope for that field. A lot of it's dry now. We can get in on it. I'm grazing cows on it now. I'm not, I would need to plow it up again, and I'm not going to do that because I have plans to push out about 3 or 4 acres of it, because I want to have a nice deep pond there so I can start raising fish. I want to get serious about raising fish. So, but I would not have been able to do that because I really had no idea what was going on there. And if you get in there with a dozer and you just start pushing stuff back, you don't know, well, am I just making a hole or am I making a pond? It's hard to know what you're doing. But now I know we could make a really decent pond there and get our fish production going. So yeah, they do well on wetlands. We had an incident here I'll tell you about. The pond that's down there has bulrushes that grow up through it. And the pigs were out on the ice in the spring, and the ice went out around the edges, but in the thick of those bulrushes, it was still pretty thick. And the bulrushes were holding it up. And I think that's why it didn't go out, probably, because it was being held up. You know, the ice usually sinks and then it goes away. And the pigs were out there, and it's like 15 of them out there, and they were big. And they were out there for a week. And I would go down with the tractor, drop their feed, and they would look at me. And I'd say, well, you guys better come get it. And, you know, the water was probably 4 feet deep at the most. But they didn't come. So I thought, boy, they've got to be getting pretty hungry out there. And my sons were home. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And I said, hey guys, let's go get those pigs off the ice. And so we went down there and we tried pushing them off. They wouldn't go. And they were big. And the ice was kind of pithy, so you know they could grip, and we couldn't push them off. So we thought, hey, all right, let's get some spud bars. We'll come down here, we'll break this ice up. They won't have any choice. So we start doing that, and it turned into like a 6-hour project. It culminated with us totally soaked. We all went in, and they went in too, and we got them to shore, but yeah, too bad we didn't video it.
Did you talk about how they improved that whole area? Did I miss that?
Yeah.
Because it was really cool. And we've seen that over and over.
Yeah, land clearing. Pigs are used for land clearing, and they do a really nice job because of everything they'll eat. And all that stuff that's on that land that you really kind of need gone, they turn it into manure and they fertilize the place with it. So it's surprising what they eat. You know, the trees, they will girdle trees and eat the bark off of them. So you got to be a little careful with that. We lost cedar trees in there, but it doesn't matter. The trees are still going to be useful for fence posts. So one of these days we'll get down there and cut them down and process them up for fence posts.
All right. Kathleen Connolly.
Kathleen.
She's here tonight.
Sorry about that, Kathleen. Yep, 1 o'clock lunch.
Do you vaccinate your pigs?
No. I'm not a big I'm a non-vaccinating type guy. No.
What would you vaccinate pigs against?
Well, just the experience that I have is there's a virus called circle virus. There's PDV, porcine diarrhea virus. But if you don't have these things, why would you vaccinate against them? So what you're going to want to do is I say I keep a closed herd, but you and I are going to swap breeding stock. So that's not exactly a closed herd. But when your little pig comes on our place, he's going to be quarantined for quite a while. And, we're going to see if he's got any problems. If he does have problems, it's time will take care of it. Either he'll get over it or he'll die. But I think you want to be kind of careful about bringing other animals on, and you want to be careful about bringing them on from places that vaccinate, because their vaccination is a process where you build the immunity of that animal by inoculating that animal with the thing that you want to build it. You want it to build a defense against. So if you use it, you're going to have to keep using it, right? So the answer is no, I don't. And we have very healthy animals. So
Alright. Holland Hillbilly wondered, what is the ideal weight and age of a manga for processing?
ideal. I think it's personal preference, but we could give you some insight on that because we've been doing it for a long time, and I can tell you what we like. The Mangalitsa is useful for what's called charcuterie, and there's certain charcuterie cuts that we really like. One of them is the copa or Coca-Cola, and it's the muscle right behind, on both sides of the backbone, right behind the head. And it's a muscle on a 300 pounder. It's about this big and about that big around. And a 300 pounder will generally be about 15, 16 months, depending on how it's fed. I don't do a lot of pushing here. I don't push the animals, and I do a lot of forages. So the forages are going to be lower in calories than, say, like if they were on full feed hog chow. Hog chow is like super high in calories. But I don't think that that's the way you want to raise these animals, just getting them. I mean, that's what they call it. They said, is it a fat pig? Getting them fat. Do we really want to just get them fat? I don't know. I think you want them to mature and have good quality muscle too, and that leads to good quality fat. Low quality fat is not that good to eat. Good quality fat is great to eat. So the fat on the Mangalitsa pig, if they're raised properly, will actually have just a little bit of pink to it, actually. And that's because there's blood vessels that go through there. I mean, they have to be. And the blood will be bright red because of the hemoglobin that's in the blood. And that's because the animals are athletic. They're digging, they're working. They're the pigs that are typically in a CAFO or concentrated animal feeding operation. They're on slatted floors that are hard plastic slatted floors, so the manure will go through. They can't dig. They can't root. They can't do anything. All they can do is go to the feeder and eat, and then drink, and then plop down. That's all they can do. So they just get fat. And that's why pork is the way it is, from the store. It's just kind of the other white meat. It's bland. It's really bland. The thought process goes like this. You want to eat a young animal. And that would be like it would be tender if it's young, and it would be mild flavored, I guess. But this, we always think in terms of, I want a young one, I'm tired of my wife. I want to get a younger one, 2 younger ones, right? Thinking it's going to be better. That's not the way it works. The best cow you're ever going to get is about a 4-year-old cow. So she's had 3 calves. That's going to be the best beef that you're going to get. in my opinion. You know, it's got a rich, woody, full flavor. It's not going to be gamey. So I don't think just pushing them so they're heavy is the way to go. I think you want them to be well developed and muscular and all their muscle groups developed. I think that's what you want. And, you know, they'll have a nice layer of fat on them as well. So we like about a 300 pounder. You know, you can handle them still. And, you know, if it's a sow, she's just getting about the age where she's getting a little big to see what she's doing. But we've done our share of 500 pounders too. And, you know, you're just going to have much bigger pork chops. It doesn't mean that they're going to be tough. It really doesn't. The only time we had a tough pig was when we castrated one of our boars, which I won't be doing that anymore. And he was about 400 pounds when we did it, or 500 pounds when we did it. We did 2 of them. And not going to be doing that again. It's not anything you want to do. And he was tough. He was stringy. He didn't smell. He didn't have that awful boar taint to him, but he was tough. I mean, you could have made great sausage out of him, but we didn't really know what we were going to encounter. We just heard all the talk that people talk about. And we've killed boars before and had them made into stuff. I got a great story about that I've told a couple times. You'll have to go back and listen to the other tapes, though.
Yeah, the dogs don't even care for friendly as much.
No.
Because it's so strong.
No. It's got that urine-y smell. And there's all kinds of talk. Well, there's people that are friends of mine that have said, "Oh no, we killed the boar and everybody loved it." Okay, that's not happened to me. I guess it's because we've castrated so much of them, and it's that same smell when you remove their testicles, that smell that gets on your hands. I don't like that smell.
But we usually taste it in their meat. They just either don't know, or some people actually like it.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one, Deborah Evans liked it.
Yeah. She had a whole bunch of people out there in Maine that preferred it.
Maine. Wicked good. By the way, speaking of Maine, we're going to Maine. What's the date?
Oh, it's on your calendar.
I got it right here. The 9th, 10th, and 11th, and we're going to be in, I think it's near Castine. It's near Castine. It's going to be at Joe Brown's place, and we're going to do hog harvest on the road. And it's the same thing that we do here. We're just going to be doing it at Joe Brown's house. So we can take up to 12 people. I think that's what Joe's going to want. But you can either contact us or you can contact Joe Brown and find out the particulars of that. But that's going to be in October this coming year. And then the week after that, the weekend after that, we're going to be in Bath, New Hampshire, doing the same thing. And that you'll have to contact me because the host, the farm host, has not gotten the information packet yet. So you just have to get hold of me, and we'll do that. Whoa, flat tail furs. Hey, can you contact me the way you do it over Messenger so we can talk? I went through all my contacts and I can't find you anyplace, and not really sure how to ring your phone. Flat tail furs, by the way, is on Beaver Island. And the reason I need to talk to you is because we have to talk about if we're going to do it on Beaver Island too. So we can get a good date that works. But that would be, if that works, that'll be 3 anyone can farm on the roads. 1 in Maine, 1 in New Hampshire, and 2 in Michigan. So if people want to come to that class, you're going to have a variety of, I'd say the one on Beaver Island would be very unique. If it happens. I hope it does. Hope it comes together.
Ken wanted to know your thoughts on the IPP breed. That's the Idaho pasture pig.
You know, I keep hearing about it. What I've heard is it's bred to not dig. So you can put it out on a pasture and supposedly it won't dig. It'll just eat the grass. If you can do that, that's great. I have a tendency to doubt that, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe somebody's figured out how to do that. And that's about all I know. I think it's a relatively new breed, and I just don't have a whole lot of experience with it. My thought on pasturing pigs is you want them to dig because that digging is the work that we're talking about that makes them into an athlete and not just a couch potato. If you were a cannibal, would you rather eat some couch potato, you know, that's eating Cheetos all day and watching Oprah Winfrey, or would you prefer one of them, you know, those girls out on the beach that are playing volleyball? You know, which would you rather? If you're a cannibal, you know, maybe that's not a good thing to think about,
Maybe
but
not the best analogy.
but you know what I'm saying. You know, a healthy animal is an animal that's doing what it's designed to do. And pigs have that disc on their nose, and they say that that disc on their nose is connected to every muscle in their body. And when they're digging, their tails are going like this, so they're happy, and they're getting out of the soil what they were designed to go after. So that's going to be a healthy animal. When I first got out of the service, here's a case in point. A guy, okay, I got it, Laura. A guy that lives by here asked me if I would help him fix his semi. And, you know, I had a mechanical background, and so I was fixing his semi. He says, hey, how about you drive it? How about you get your semi license and you drive this for me, you know? And I was like, yeah, okay, I could do that. I drove it around a little bit, and it was okay. And the first run, we went to a town south of us, and we went to a CAFO. It was a big hog CAFO, and there was two great big buildings, and it was state of the art. One man could control the whole place, all these pigs. And we backed up there, and there was a bunch of guys in there that didn't exactly speak English, and they drove all these pigs onto the semi. They pushed them on the semi, and the semi set up, the trailer is set up so the pigs will just naturally fill it in. And I drove that semi from here in Barryton, which is just about an hour south of me, to Indiana. It was about 4.5 hours. I picked them up at, say, 6 in the evening. I got down there, whatever, 6, 7, 8, I don't know. It seemed like it was later than that. And I had to wait in line to back in and offload them. And the same type of guys pushed them off the semi. They didn't speak English either. And there was some of the pigs on that semi that were too weak to get off of that semi. And the ones that did get off, they were not exactly running. They were just kind of and they were not big pigs. They were 240 pounds or 280, I think was the average weight of them. And there was probably about 10 of them that could not get off. And these individuals that were there dragged them off. And there was a pile of maybe 10 pigs on the concrete ramp there that you back the semi up to that could not walk in to the kill floor. And they moved them with forklifts to a place where there was another pile of them. And there was probably 40 pigs there. And it was pretty gross. And that was the last time I did it. I said, I don't want to be part of this. At the time, we had even been spoken to by the man who this trucker was contracted to move his animals, and he said, hey, I could put some barns like that on your place. And I was just out of the service, and I was thinking, well, I want to do something. Maybe this hog house thing would be great. And when I saw that industry, how it was, I said, no, I don't want nothing to do with that. So that was the only time I did it. I mean, the animals were so unhealthy that they couldn't get off the semi-trailer. Now you look at our pigs, come here and try and catch one sometime if you want to see how healthy they are. They're extremely healthy, very, very vigorous, and virile. A lot of muscle mass on them. So very important. You are what you eat. Well, we got a good crowd in here, 30 people, all right. Q&A is big. It's really big.
Brittany wanted to know, how do you keep track of whose offspring is whose in your herd?
I don't want to say I don't, but generally my groups, my sounders, right? I kind of model things after the way it works in nature. Pigs in nature, and that's not in North America or South America, this is in the Pacific Rim, they run in sounders. So antelope run in herds, geese run in gaggles, but pigs run in sounders. And there will be, maybe 10 sows and all their little babies, and then they break off and they create new sounders, right? So we kind of do the same thing. I'll have one boar and he'll be in with 6 or 8 gals, and that's a sounder. And I kind of know where they came from. It's not really rocket science the way we do it. Like, I don't have a book, I don't track, I don't tag ears. It's not that important to me because we're either selling them as breedable animals, so we pick out the ones that are nice looking animals and just do it phenotypically the way they look. And really the demand. If there's a big demand for breedable animals, even the ugly ones will sell as breedable animals. Right now, there's quite a demand for breedable animals, and there's quite a demand for feeders too. So it just depends on the market. I don't tag them. I don't notch ears. It's just not something that I need to do. I'm not into the whole pedigree thing. I think that's kind of a scam, If you got good, healthy animals and they look like what they're supposed to be, I think that's what I'd go off. I could put a piece of paper with any animal, and that doesn't mean that it is what the paper says it is. And people do get hung up on that, and I just never have. I just never have, and I can't see me getting hung up on that now. Now, when you have, say, we've had it before, we have 6 or 8 sows in one group that all farrow within a couple days of each other, or a week, let's say. And it's really surprising to see that many baby pigs together, and then mom flops over and she's gonna feed, then another mom flops over, and another one, and another one. And these pigs are racing around from mother to mother. Whoever's got the more stuff, they'll go to her. So they switch around. I've heard tales about they'll go to one station on the mother, and that's their station. That's not true. They'll switch mothers. They will. So I guess that's my answer to you. I guess I don't. And I don't really see where it's beneficial in an operation like mine. When people come here and they need baby pigs, I take them out to the baby pig pen and they'd say, Oh, I like that one and that one. Okay, you get that one and that one. How old are they? Oh, they're about this old. Which one is their mom? She's one of them over there. You know, that's about all we do. I don't think that I can't see a scenario where a person would really need to know unless they, real hung up on lineage. Another thing to consider too in the lineage game, pigs in nature, litter mates will breed. And if that's not supposed to happen, it wouldn't be designed like that. But it's designed like that, all right. Now, what you see though is the male is ready to breed before the female is breedable. Like she's breedable, let's say at 6 months. Some people would say 8 months. Some people say a year. But I think what they're saying is you should wait until she's a year. But when is she actually breedable? When can she conceive? That's a good question. We've seen really young animals conceive. And I don't have a good answer for you on that because I think a lot of it has to do with environment. And you're going to think this is crazy, but a lot of it has to do with the moon. It really does. So she's conceivable later than he is. So he must be looking for older women. Go figure. We like to think we have everything figured out. We don't have everything figured out. At least around here, we don't.
All right. This is another Cody question.
Cody
Do
B.
you think pigs utilize grain better fed 2 times per day or free choice? Because with soaking the whole grains, I'll have to feed twice a day now, he's thinking.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Pigs. Okay, if you have one pig and that pig has a full feeder, that pig will know it's got a full feeder and it will go to it when it feels like it. You put 2 of them in there, then there's competition, and they don't want the other one to get one mouthful more than they got. So if you put 2 pigs in there, there's competition and they will eat a lot more. And it stretches their little stomachs out and then they eat more and more and more. So if your goal is to get that pig big, if you want to push the pig, you want him to eat more feed, if you go out there with a bucket and you dump the feed, they'll eat it. So if you do that twice a day, they're going to be psyched more so than if you took 2 buckets out there and dumped them. See what I mean? My pigs, especially the ones right here on this field, I feed them in the morning and I give them enough so that they eat all they can take and then they walk away. And there's still a lot of feed on the ground because I know they'll come back and they'll get it. And then if I go out there in the morning and there's still feed on the ground, it doesn't matter. They'll still run to the fence. And when I feed them, they will go after it, even if there's feed there, right? So it's just I don't know, they associate me with feed. They associate me with the frenzy of, ooh, food, and I love food. And, they don't have much in their life. They have sleeping, they have drinking, and they have eating, and then a little bit of playing around. So there's not a lot in their life. So I would say you could definitely feed them once a day, and they're going to be fine. And it's a whole lot less hassle. Free choice is when you have maybe a feeder that has a bin on it, and you fill it with feed, and you don't have to put any feed out there for a long time. We did that for years. We would have the truck come in here and fill it, and then you have a big bill to pay at the end of that. So you sell your pigs and you get all this money, and then you got to pay for your feed. So it's kind of anticlimactic, especially if your feed bill is more than what you made on your pigs, which can happen. It really can. When you're doing that game, when you play that game, people are saying to you, well, pigs on the Chicago market today are only bringing this much. You don't want to ever play that game. You are not the Chicago market. This is why homesteading it's like kind of like direct marketing. You're raising the pig, it's going in your freezer. So it doesn't matter what the price of pigs are on the Chicago market. I suppose now you got 2 pigs in your paddock, and there's no meat on the shelves at the store. That's something to consider. That's a nice place to be. And yeah.
Yeah. He said he's not wanting to push the hogs like he had been with free choice. So
Yeah.
he's
Well,
looking
I
to
mean,
change it up and improve their health and get a better quality product.
if you took a piece of paper and you drew a line down the center and you put assets and liabilities, the assets, or what's good about feeding twice a day, what's bad about feeding twice a day, and kind of go from there. I think feeding twice a day would push them because they're going to see you, associate you with the feed, and then just eat even if they're full and get that going. If it's once a day and you feed them a bunch, they'll eat it, they know it's there, and if they need to go back to it, they will. And you might even slow them down like that if that's your goal.
Alrighty. Brittany is bringing her steer home in a week and gonna put them in with the billy goat. Can cows or goats carry diseases the other can get? Should we be worried it'll have something the goat will get?
Whew. I'd hate to say no on that because there might be something outside of what I know. Goats and cows and goats. There's nothing that's coming to my mind of a caution there.
Yeah.
Is there to you? I don't think we've ever done it though.
Yeah, we put the calves in with the sheep when they came. If you
Yeah,
know
calves
where
and
it's
sheep.
coming from and you're pretty sure that, the steer's going to be healthy,
Yeah.
if there's any question about it, like when we brought those calves home from the dairy, we wouldn't have put them in with anything.
Right.
But when the calves came from a farmer that we knew and trusted, his system, we put them in with the sheep, no worries. So
Yeah. But
I can't think of anything right offhand.
But I hate to be the final word on that, Brittany, because believe it or not, there's things that we don't know. Believe it or not. In the farming business. Not like Forrest Gump. I know everything there is to know about shrimping. Oh, that was Bubba. Yeah, I don't know.
She's going to look into it more to make sure, but
Yeah.
they'll kind of look around when they pick the steer up and see how they feel about it.
Yeah, but see, like you can have broiler chickens and then put perfectly healthy turkeys in with them. The chickens carry Merrick's disease. It doesn't affect them, but it affects turkeys really bad, and they'll get scrawny. They just wilt, and they finally die. So, you could have a perfectly healthy looking calf. I suppose it could have something that could affect a goat or vice versa. Who was that said that? James P?
Vice versa.
No, about shrimp. He
Oh
said
yeah,
something
James
about.
P. All you need to know about shrimp is it eats from its toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. I got one more for you.
One more. We're at 70, 80,
Yep.
80 minutes. We can call it good.
Kathleen wanted to know, do you deworm?
You know, a couple of times we've had to, but that's only been when hog chow was part of the equation. So, no. Like right now, no. Because we don't have a problem with it, so I don't feel the need to do that. And I have a feeling about that. Like if you get a bunch, if you just do it, like if you read university books about farrowing, they'll say, oh, you do this, and this. You do these things, and they'll say, well, you got to clip the eye teeth off. So you got to go in there with a pair of dikes and cut their teeth off. Oh, and then you got to cut their tails off. And you got to give them a shot of iron. And then you got to vaccinate them. You know, it was a pretty poor design if it's not going to make it without mankind to be there to cut their teeth off. We don't cut teeth off. We don't do that. I did it once, and what I saw was a splinter go up into the gums and then an abscess right on that canine tooth. And they do that so that it doesn't tear up the sow's tits. But no, I don't think that's. But what did she ask me if I did?
Deworm. But
Deworm.
then Brittany asked, why do people cut teeth? So
Yeah. So the deworming thing, if you deworm them, people will deworm piglets, right? You're going to create a void in that little pig, and something's going to fill it, going to fill that spot. So I do know people that as soon as pigs are born, iron shot, deworming, and you know, I don't do that. I just don't do that. And you know, I'm sure that they do have a level of roundworms because that's part of their biology. But unless I see a problem, I'm not gonna treat it. And I have friends that disagree with me on that. But yeah. Now, what was Brittany's? Brittany's thing was, why do they clip the teeth?
Yeah.
Is to keep the baby pigs from tearing up the sow's tits.
and so that when they're in those, you know, they've got them on those pens and hog barns.
Yeah,
They don't carve each other to pieces.
yeah. So they don't cut each other up, and that's why they cut the tails off in CAFOs, is because it's
They have neither curly nor straight tails.
yeah, it's so they can't grab each other's tails and tear them off, right? So they'll just, when they're a day old or something, they just take a dikes and they'll snip the tail off. They'll actually take a pair of dikes and they will pinch the testicles right out with a pair of dull dikes. Dikes are diagonal cutters, you know, like pair of pliers type thing, but they're wire cutters. They call them dikes. How we doing? Is that about it for questions?
That's all.
I'm about wore out anyway. This is Wednesday night and I'm tired.
Yeah, you're not chatty tonight.
No, I'm not real chatty tonight. I've been in the sun all day today. We're going to continue 14 inches long. What kind of pig is that?
He's got some wild ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, wild ones. They must, like feral ones, you down in Texas or something. Tomorrow we're going to continue on what we were talking about pastured poultry. Last night we were talking about how, and talked about, you know, brooders and tractors and operations and all that stuff. And tomorrow I want to talk about the final phase, or the second to last phase, or maybe we'll talk about both processing and marketing. Okay, and we'll spend just an hour on that. We'll take questions on that. Pastured poultry is a good place for people to get into livestock, and the reason for that is it's a quick turnaround. You know, chicks, they're small, they're fairly inexpensive to get into, and the profit on it is decent. It's decent. It's not great. It's good, right? The profit on pigs is way better, and with pigs, there's techniques that you can utilize to. Hey, thanks, Tatum. To make it really pay, and most of these things that, like when we talk tomorrow night about pastured poultry, we're going to be talking about value adding. You know, if I hand you a chicken, even if you're really hungry, you might not know what to do with that, right? So it's going to have very little value to it. If I, get it plucked and eviscerated, then you're a little closer. If I hand it to you and it's been battered and deep fried, you'll know what to do with that, right? So all of those things are value adding to that chicken, and the whole thing is a process. It's from egg to deep fried chicken. It's a process. Which I think we get some chicken in the fridge, don't we? And I'm kind of hungry. All right, I'm going to get off for now. Thanks everybody for coming by. Please like, share, and subscribe to Baker's Green Acres YouTube. Check us out over on bakersgreenacres.com and also Baker's Green Acres Facebook. And if you haven't asked to get into the Anyone Can Farm tribe, please do so, and we will let you in after a thorough vetting, of course. All right, good night.